thank you for joining us today for this Oracle Analytics Cloud and Server Product Roadmap webinar for January 2025. As you may be aware, we're running these on a quarterly basis to keep you up to date on the evolving product roadmap as we go along. This call is hosted by the Oracle Analytics community team, which is made up of a number of my teammates on slides. You will have come across Ben, Jamie, Mauricio, Harry, and Alex before, and myself and Daniel are two relatively new members of the team. So thank you from all of us. We're very grateful to have four phenomenal presenters from the Oracle Analytics product management team joining us today. We've got Avinash Karisharam, who looks after the data visualization element of the product, Philippe Lyons for AI and ML, Pravin Janardanam for data modeling, and then Gabrielle Pritchard as well for data flow and LLMs. So moving through into the safe harbor statement, because we'll be covering some forward-looking stuff. I'll just leave that on the screen for a second. But we've got a rather full agenda today that'll be going through AI and machine learning innovations, semantic modeler and datasets with Pravin, data flow, roadmap and LLMs, and then an overall roadmap review with Avinash for a couple of minutes. But before we get into that, we just have a quick poll for you on the audience. We have a number of events coming up within the Oracle Analytics community that we just want to see if you're interested in attending. So you should see a poll flashing up on your screen, inviting you to the Oracle Data Intelligence Summit in London. That's a yes or a no as to whether you'd like to attend. This is a session that will have a number of product management speakers and partner and customers to network with. And we also have the Oracle Analytics Data Visualization Challenge, which will be launching next Monday. And that is your opportunity to showcase some of your data visualization skills as part of the Oracle Analytics community. I'll just leave that up there for a couple of moments as people seem to be still responding. But yes, just to reiterate, the Oracle Data Intelligence Summits are happening all over the world. So the Mumbai Summit, I think, is happening next week. And this question refers to the London Summit, which will be happening in March. And then the Oracle Data Visualization Challenge, which is a global online event that will be launching next week. Fabulous. With that, I shall end the poll and get us started for our next speaker. So first up, I have Philippe Lyons, who's going to be covering the AI and machine learning innovation. Philippe, I'll stop sharing and hand straight over to you.
Thank you very much, Maddie. Let me share. Can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Absolutely. That's all good to go.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for your interest in attending that call. I'm Philippe. I'm working on the product management department of Oracle Analytics, especially for our advanced analytics and AI and ML. I want to talk to you today for the next 15 minutes about the roadmap and recent updates and roadmap for these areas. So I'm going to start with the left of the slide, which is what we just delivered in the past two releases, and then I'll talk about futures. So this is a roadmap that you can download from the link at the top. You will see it in the slide deck as well. But I'll zoom only in the area that is for machine learning and cognitive AI, which is made up of augmented AI, machine learning, and cognitive AI. And augmented analytics, in fact, is the first one. We have had quite a few enhancements in the past two releases for these areas, and I have highlighted them in blue in the slide. So column explaining the feature that helps explaining diving into data for a given column. There has been enhancements for that feature. Key drivers algorithms, a lot deeper analysis and algorithm from the key drivers. So unfortunately, I won't have time to go into all of the details, but there has been quite some enhancements there. You can watch the playlist for January. You may see it on YouTube. Same for Auto Insights. So that's this block here. Auto Insights is the feature that gives you visualizations out of your data right away without any configuration or anything like this. It pops up what it thinks are the best insights about your data. That feature is now aware of filters in your canvas. So if you filter your canvas and refresh Auto Insights, the algorithms will rerun and find out different insights just for the selection of your filtered data. So it's pretty powerful. But I want to take a minute and demo about contextual geometry and spatial calculation. So contextual insights go right there in the next slide, which is the demo. And I'll go with the live demo. So this is a live environment of Oracle Analytics. And I'm going to go into a presentation, a present mode, which is what a consumer user would see. So I went from the canvas edit mode, where the author edits canvas and dashboards, to the present mode. And now I am a consumer, and this is what I would see if I was looking at my dashboard. Now, there is a new feature that is oriented to consumers that allow a consumer to dive into details of Canvas. So let's say this is donation values by subject categories. And let's say that I am interested in having a bit more detail about this bar chart here. As I right click on it, there is a new menu called Explain selected. And again, I am not an author, I am a consumer. I have no idea of what exists in this data set or this subject area. This works for datasets and subject areas. And if I click on Explain selected, we'll scan down into the data and find out if there are any dimensions where my selection, that bar, has a significantly remarkable different behavior than the rest of the data. So I clicked on a bar, and the algorithm found out that for that subject category, if we look at it for sliced by resources, my selection has a very different shape than the rest of the data. So for literacy and language, books are making up pretty much 30% of the total, which is very, very high compared to other, everything outside of my selection. And on like this, so it will offer me different breakdowns, different remarkable insights that are saying, okay, my selection here is trending at a different pace than the rest of the data. This is information for me as a consumer, as a business user, ignoring the intricacies of building the reports and the data set definition, but just seeing the results of algorithm for the selection I have made. And I can carry on like this. I can like, dislike, add, or I can even bring these visualizations. It's not where I wanted to go. I wanted to add this one to my watch list. Maybe I am interested in it and I want to add it to my watch list so I can watch it later or download it into some canvas and consume it later. So this is contextual information that let's say I select 2 bars here. And again, if I want to have more detail about that selection versus the rest of the data, the system will fire up different algorithms, look at details, and find out some remarkable dimensions to break it down. We call this consumer contextual insights. Here's another example. And it's meant and oriented to consumers. Authors obviously can use this as well directly from the canvas. There is a little configuration flag for it. There is a video about how to turn this on any viz on your canvas. It does not require you to rebuild any viz. You can consume it and use it on existing viz. That is one of the recent additions that you can leverage in January playlist, and it works in subject areas or dataset. Again, it works with subject areas or datasets, both. Next feature that we recently released, I would like to quickly demo, is spatial and geometry. Geometry is a data type that can exist in a dataset or a subject area or a database, and it represents shapes on my canvas right away without any configuration. So I'm adding a map background here, but this is about 16,000 shapes showing Paris buildings for a area in Paris. And that geometry shows very dense visualization, is obviously completely interactive as any other viz in OAC. So here I have an interaction between a table and a map. And of course, as you're used to, as I click on a viz, it jumps on the other one. So basically, just like you use with any other viz, geometry will allow you to represent very dense visualizations just by dragging and dropping a geometry. But not only this. So geometries could be polygons. You've seen buildings at the top, points, lines, any kind of objects. Of course, I can format this the way that I like it better. But most importantly, I can show interactions between geometries and measure spatial calculations directly from OAC. So let's select one building here, any building. And I'm going to be interested in what are the points, let's say the shops, that are within a distance of that geometry. So there are logical calculations such as geometry distance that I can calculate in OAC. And of course, now, if I use geometry distance in my canvas, of course, I could color with it, or I could filter with it. And let me see what are the bottom, the closest points to that geometry, that building that we selected. But let me make it more visual. What are the all the points between 100 meters and 200 meters from that building that we've selected? And in fact, why don't I bring everything here on the same map instead of having two maps? So I can add a data layer, drag the the geometry column, and now I see both geometries. So here are all the points within 100 to 200. Let's make this 500. And we should see more points, hopefully. Here are more points within a range of 500 meters of the center of that dot. What if I added a few more locations? So I'm just going random here. So hopefully that'll bring different points or not so close points on the map. The system calculates the distance, and we see here one of these buildings. At the bottom is another one in brown, and the points that are making up, that are falling into the distance category. So my point is that functionally here, that technology makes it very easy for business users to make spatial calculations and visualize them. This can bring a lot of value, not only for geographical maps, but for any kind of spatial calculation. One example as well is, for instance, just to wrap up, leveraging capabilities that exist in the database. The database has a capability, Oracle database, to calculate driving distance from a point. And I entered an address in my canvas, and the polygon that you see here in light blue is in fact the area that I can reach by driving 15 minutes. So it's a driving distance polygon, and that polygon is being calculated on the fly by the database, because Oracle passes that information to the database behind the scenes. It's not pre-built. I'm entering my address here. I happen to be in French. You may hear my accent. And hopefully this will show me how much I can drive from where I am. But none of this exists as a data set. It's a feature, it's a calculation that happens on the fly with a geocoding from within Oracle database. You can picture, there are tens of different calculations capabilities in the database for spatial computation. So you can picture the power and the functional power that this can bring into your visualization and your dashboards. This is today possible with geometries and spatial calculation. I'm watching the clock at the same time I'm speaking, so I'm just going to toggle now back to my presentation. We just, oops, where is my presentation? We just discussed about what recently released in the past two. What is coming on the roadmap? So there's quite a few things being worked on, but two of them that I want to highlight as far as machine learning and advanced analytics and cognitive AI. You may be familiar with Oracle Analytics consuming OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure AI services, text analysis, image object detection, document understanding. So one more that is coming pretty soon is, as you can see on that picture, the same as image object detection, but applied to a video. So if I upload video on a bucket, I can now point analytics to a bucket with videos, run the OCI AI video service, and get the output. And the output would be a data set here with every object by frame that was recognized in the video. So I know exactly that a truck went by at seconds, like this truck here, went by at seconds 20 in my video and was positioned here. So this is video AI services. So the visualization you see here is a custom visualization that shows the data output into the original video. Of course, the information here is probably a lot more useful for me to process into visualizing into bar charts or tables, just to spot that maybe a dog was caught crossing the road, or maybe at some point the road was inactive for 5 minutes, whatever. That is now possible, not now. It will be possible as part of Oracle Analytics, and it will simply consume the OCI AI service. And just to wrap, another one that is going to ship pretty soon as well is a capability by Oracle Analytics to compute similarity analytics. So similarity analytics is the ability to recognize if two records in my own data may look alike to service requests, to customers, to patients, to products, to orders, and I may have hundreds of thousands of them, but I need to compare them by all of their dimension or some of their dimensions or matrices. So whatever makes a profile. In fact, let me take you. I'm here in France, and we're in the middle of a Euro Championship for soccer. So I have a data set with soccer players. It's FIFA 18, so it's pretty old, and there are like 10,000 or 12,000 players, and they all have a profile. So this is one player, this number, and here's his profile by whatever are the different. So I just visualize that, this person has different skills for different capabilities. Okay, and I would like like to know if there are any other players in my data set. And it's completely random, by the way. Any other players in my data set that look alike this profile or close enough. Of course, nobody will match exactly the same, but anybody that is close. If I run that data flow node, I will get the top N, in this case, 5 of them that are close enough to them. Very powerful, leveraging vector capabilities in the database. Very useful functionally, a lot of use cases. I'm reaching out the end of my time slot, so I'll thank you, Maddie, for allocating that time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much for your interest.
Perfect. Thank you, Philippe. That's fabulous. If you could just check in the Q&A box, because there is lots of interest around the geometry feature as well.
I'll do that.
I think it's Pravin. Also, just to address a question in the comment, I know we've got Riti asking if these features and enhancements are also applicable to HCM. We did have the Fusion Data Intelligence roadmap session yesterday. That recording will be live online soon. But if you could pop that question in an email to me about the specific features you're interested in, do let me know, and we can chase up with some of the FDI PMs to double check on that question. And with that, Pravin, have you managed to gain access to share your screen and get ready? I am seeing slides. Are they from Pravin? Oh, Pravin, you might be on mute if you are. Fabulous.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Excellent.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pravin Janardhanam, and I work on the product management aspects of Oracle Analytics, predominantly on the data aspects, including data, semantic models and query generation. Today, we'll see some of the updates that are coming up in Semantic Modeler as well as Datasets. The first one is on Semantic Modeler. There is a lineage export. This is a feature in the past in model administration tool known as repository documentation. When Semantic Modeler was initially released, this feature was not available in Semantic Modeler. So it just gives you a lineage export end-to-end for semantic model objects from the presentation layer to the physical layer as a CSV file. So we have many customers using this information to create their own usage tracking and lineage solutions. So this feature will help with that. Having said that, let me quickly show this in a demo. So I'm just going to open an existing semantic model here. It says sample sales. And on the top right corner, I'm going to click on the page menu. Earlier, we used to have just export. Export is a zip file export of the semantic model files. But in addition to that, you also have export lineage right now. So I'm clicking on export lineage. You give a name for the file, and I'm clicking on export. And you can see that there is a zip file that was created. I'm just going to open the zip file. And within the zip file, there is a CSV file. So the structure of this file is we kept it to be exactly the same as model administration tool. That way, if you have any existing process that uses this file for usage tracking or lineage documentation, so you don't have to make any changes. So the column names, everything remains the same in this file. Next up are two major updates. The first one is support for Essbase. So when Semantic Modeler was released, we had support only for relational sources. That basically means that if you were using Oracle Essbase or Oracle EPM, you still had to use model administration tool. So starting with January 25 update, Semantic Modeler supports Essbase as well as Oracle EPM sources. So that basically means the connection for Essbase and EPM within Oracle Analytics has a system connection property right now. So you'll be able to set the property of a system connection, and that in turn is available to build semantic models using these sources. Right. In addition to that, the semantic model markup language itself has been drastically improved to accommodate the multidimensional sources. So earlier we had only support for relational sources. So SMML, the current SMML is complete to support Essbase and EPM sources, right? In addition to that, you get all the benefits of Semantic Modeler, like a simple drag and drop. For anyone who have used model administration tool in the past, it takes a lot of setup time. Everything is gone right now. It's as simple as creating a connection in Oracle Analytics Cloud, like a data connection. And once you set it as a system connection, it's immediately available for importing the metadata from Oracle Essbase and EPM into the semantic model. So, and all the options that are available in the past, like importing UDAs, aliases, converting measures into flat measures, and converting alternate hierarchies into single hierarchy, all of those options are available. Okay. The next one is the EPM Cloud. A similar experience like supporting Oracle Essbase. The most important thing is here what is supported in EPM Cloud. This is exactly the same as the connection that currently exists today in Oracle OAC for EPM Cloud. Supports financial consolidation and closing, free-form planning and planning modules, profitability and cost management, and tax reporting. So you'll see that account reconciliation and enterprise data management cloud and narrative reporting are not supported. Let's jump to the demo. Just give me one moment. Okay. So the first thing what we'll do is, what if I have an existing model already, using model administration tool? I have already configured a model with the Oracle Essbase and Oracle EPM Cloud, right? So I'm just going to create a semantic model. I'm just going to intentionally name it as import model, right? Before I click on create. Okay. So I'm going to import a model. Here I have the option to say import a file, right? So what you're seeing here is model administration tool, the tool that Semantic Modeler is replacing. Here I have an existing RPD with Semantic model already developed for Oracle Essbase, as you can see here. Okay, I'm going to import this model. So I'm just going to click on import a file. And I have sample app 805 there. Click on open. Okay, provide the password for that RPD. And click on import. Okay, at this point, what is happening is behind the scene, all the metadata contents in that RPD file is being converted into semantic model markup language files. It's literally thousands of files. It's getting converted from UDML into semantic model markup language files. Right. This approximately takes 20 seconds. I think that's good. It's done. As you can see here, in the presentation layer, you have all these subject areas, and then in the physical layer, you can see, you can easily compare here. On the right here is our physical layer, right? So everything got imported into semantic model, okay, in semantic modeler. Okay, I'm just going to open Essbase GL Basic, which is an Essbase database. So you have BI sample 2 as the catalog, followed by basic is the cube table. And under the cube table, I have dimensions, channels, customers, measures, and product and scenario or dimensions. And under this dimensions, you have multiple hierarchies and levels and generations associated with it. Okay. So if I open basic cube table in its own editor, you can see the same dimensions and hierarchies and levels, right? You can also right click. If you're familiar with Semantic Modeler, you know that every object that you see in the UI is defined using code. It's using semantic model markup language. So I can right click on it and say open an SMML editor, and you can see the SMML for that object. Okay, just similar to what we had for relational sources before this. Now, so we saw how to import an existing model. The next one is, let's see, how to create a new physical database using Oracle Essbase and EPM Cloud. Okay, I'm just going to click on Create Database here. Say it's Oracle Essbase and space. Okay, so I have an Essbase physical database. If I go to the connections, I already see here there is an Essbase demo connection and an EPM demo connection. So let's go ahead and take a look at the connection there, right? So how did I get those two connections? I'm just going to go back. Let me save this and just go back. Data, connections. I have two connections here, Essbase demo and EPM demo. Just going to right click on it and inspect. I have already created these connections and set them as system connections for it to be available in semantic models. Similarly, EPM demo, inspect, it's already set as a system connection. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the semantic model that I was creating, import model, and go to the physical layer. I had Essbase, right? Okay, so Essbase demo is the connection, and I'm just going to drag and drop revenue planning to import the metadata. I'm going to click on OK. So as you can see, revenue got created as a catalog, followed by planning as a cube table, and the same as, you can see calendar, geography, measures, and product and scenario as dimensions, and each of them in turn has hierarchies and levels. Okay. So next, from here on, the experience of creating logical model is exactly the same. For Essbase, we'll go ahead and create a logical model. Let's just say I'm going to create Essbase business model. Okay. And just going to go to Essbase. I'm going to drag and drop planning to logical layer. As you can see, the system automatically determines what is a fact table here and what are supposed to be the dimension tables. So from here on, getting this to presentation is the same as for relational sources. Okay. Let's go back to the physical layer once again. And let's see, I'm going to create another database. In this particular case, I'm just going to say EPM and set the database type to EPM Cloud. On OK. And I'm just collapsing Essbase demo and opening EPM demo. And I'm going to drag and drop Vision Plan 1 application to the physical EPM database. So Plan 1 is created as a cube table with account, entity, and a few other dimensions here. So the semantic model markup language definition itself has been enhanced to accommodate all of these what we used to usually see them as business model objects for relational sources into the physical layer right now. So pretty much it is complete right now. When I say it, the semantic model markup language is complete right now with all the definitions required for defining Essbase and EPM cloud data sources. So in addition to that, in Semantic Modeler, we have another enhancement. So as you can see, the data preview is borrowing a few features from data sets that you're familiar with, giving column level insights for each of these columns. In future, you will see more and more in Semantic Modeler, such interactive features dealing with with data will be available in Semantic Modeler. Okay. In the interest of time, I'm just going to switch on to datasets. So datasets has a feature right now where if you have multiple sheets in Excel file, in the past, you have to import each and every sheet independently as a table within a dataset. Starting with the update, January update, you can import each of these sheets, at once. Okay, so the experience is almost the same as you opening up if you're connecting to a relational schema. So opening the schema object, selecting a few tables and dragging and drop into your dataset editor. So a similar experience is available for importing all Excel sheets at once from within the dataset editor. Let's take a look at the demo, please. One moment. Okay, here I'm just going to move to the home screen. I have an Excel file, video game sales here. It has multiple sheets in it. I'm just going to drag and drop. Okay, so this UI, in the past as well, used to show the sheets that are available. In this particular case, the sheets that are available are video game sales, promotions, customers, and channels. And prior to this feature, you have to import these sheets one by one. Now you have this option, import all these sheets at once. Right? I'm going to click on select that, import all sheets, and click on OK. This point, what is happening is all these sheets are getting imported as tables within the dataset. Each of the, with the data being profiled, and also the relationship between these tables are being detected as well. So if you see here on the left, you have files, and under files, you have video game sales, customers, promotions, and channels, or the tables. And also the system has automatically determined what is the joint relationships between these dataset tables. Saves a lot of time. Instead of importing, each sheet one by one, imagine an Excel sheet with, 10 or 15 sheets, then this one, this feature tremendously helps with getting all of them together and also, suggesting the joins between those tables. With that concludes my updates, I will hand it over to Maddie.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Pravin. Again, lots of interest, lots of questions in the Q&A box. So if you could hop over there, that would be fantastic. Now, my pleasure to introduce Gabrielle Pritchard, who's going to cover our data flow and LLMs section for today. Gabrielle, get your slides up there and take it away.
Can you see my screen okay?
We can indeed.
Okay, awesome. Hi, my name is Gabrielle. I'm on the Oracle Analytics product management team. I primarily work on data flows and have more recently been working on some large language model initiatives. So I'll be going over some of the planned features we have for data flows this year, as well as a interesting large language model feature that we'll have coming soon as well. So if you have any questions throughout, just feel free to drop them in the Q&A box and I will get to them after I present my slides. All right, so the first feature I want to touch on is our new data flow diagram that we're rolling out this year. I've included a video on this slide of our legacy data flow diagram. If you've used Oracle Analytics, this is the current UI that's in place if you go to create a data flow. We wanted to update the look and feel of this diagram so that we're staying modern and providing, the best experience possible. So there were some challenges with the old diagram that you're seeing on the screen now. I would say people were having a hard time going into old data flows or recently shared data flows with them and understanding kind of high level what the data flow is doing. These data flows can get quite complex depending on your use case and depending on what you're trying to accomplish in the data flows. So being able to understand kind of high level what the objectives of the data flows are upon a first glance is really important. And then another thing I noticed customers were struggling with was just being able to track, what the inputs of the data flow were and sort of where they would be joined and incorporated into the data flow. So overall, we really tried to also prioritize improving our union and join experiences. So this is kind of high level. Some of the things that we were keeping in mind when trying to address some of the problems with the old diagram. And then this is the exact same data flow you saw in the previous video with our new diagram. We're still kind of tweaking some aspects of the layout with this diagram, but you can see that there's a new and improved look and feel. I'm showing how the diagram looks when you want to create a join and add some additional nodes. So really, we tried to kind of improve the join experience and just overall the look and feel. Another note is we are running a limited availability starting in March for customers that want to try out this new data flow diagram. So if you are interested in sort of getting an early look and trying out this feature before it's generally available, either send me an email or you could reach out to Maddie so we can help you get enrolled in that process. We are looking to kind of gain some early feedback before the feature is released for everyone. To call out a few specific aspects, there's a new layout that allows you to place inputs closer to where they're used in the data flow, so you don't have really long trailing lines across the page. It's clear, what node you've selected, that we included like an outline to the node, which you can see in that video. And then we've also included a data lineage tracker. So when you select a node, it will kind of showcase how that data associated with that node is traced throughout the data flow. One other thing is we have grouped the nodes by color. That's probably the most obvious difference between the old data flow and the new is just the introduction of color. So we really tried to associate the color with the primary function of the node. So for example, all of our machine learning related nodes will appear in this gray color. And then also, if you look on the screen, your union and joins are in green. So grouping by color is something that we implemented as well. Again, another common use case for data flows, as I mentioned, is the ability to kind of join and mash data together, either using unions or these join nodes. So we really tried to make this process a lot more intuitive and easier for customers. We've added some blue icons indicating potential join locations, and then we've also added a dotted line to show potential connection points for where you can join an input data set to the data flow. And then in addition to that, we added some help text as well to give some further instruction. Moving on to this next feature, we're calling it subject area as a data flow source. So currently, if you're a user of data flows, you know that in order to use information from your subject area in your data flows, you need to create a local subject area first. It's just an added step that you need to do. And sometimes when you have a created data flow with an LSA as an input, business needs change. You might need to go add or take away columns from that LSA. So there's a lot of overhead in terms of like additional steps in editing the LSA first before making changes in the data flow. So to kind of streamline the process of being able to pull in data from your subject areas into a data flow, we're adding subject area support. So you can take, your subject area and just pull it directly into a data flow without having to create that LSA. And that also kind of alleviates the need to create multiple unique LSAs to use in maybe one or two data flows. So kind of also optimizing system performance from that aspect as well. I would say another kind of element of this feature is an improved step editor experience for the add data step. Currently, it's a little bit challenging to search for columns and see what columns you've selected for your inputs. So we're introducing this tree structure that you can see on the screen and an improved ability to be able to search for columns. Oftentimes your subject areas are quite large, so it's important to be able to leverage a search tool to be able to kind of filter down specific columns that you might want to include in your data flow. All right, and then the final feature I'll touch on now is a large language model feature that we've been working on. We're providing this language model out of the box. So you'll be able to, if you have write access for a data set, you'll be able to click the inspector of your data sets and then click this little magic wand icon, which will essentially invoke the language model and it will generate or suggest a description for your specific data set. The reason we wanted to add this is to kind of help with metadata management and helping to really describe the contents of your data set without having to, have the users open up the individual data set, pull it into a workbook and kind of start dragging columns over to understand kind of the contents. We really wanted to give people a high level understanding of the contents of their data set. And we have plans down the line to kind of leverage this metadata to improve other internal processes as well. But this is kind of the main feature we have on the roadmap currently with respect to data sets that leverage large language model technology. And if there are any questions about this feature or any of the features I spoke about during this presentation, definitely shoot me an email. And like I said, for the data flow diagram, if you're interested in trying that out, send me an email as well. And with that, I'll hand it back to Maddie.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Gabrielle. I think Harjinder summed that up really nicely in the Q&A by saying these are really significant enhancements to OAC. Well done. Fabulous. Avinash, you are our last speaker on the roster, and I know you've got a lot of content to get through, so I will stop talking and let you take it away.
Thank you, Maddie. Can you see my screen?
We can indeed.
Okay. Hey, everyone. My name is Avinash Krishnaram. I'm a product manager on the experience. I own the experience and data visualization features in Oracle Analytics Cloud. So I want to spend some time going over our roadmap. So we publish our roadmap in our community, and it's updated once in 2 to 3 months, and is available for anyone interested to understand what features are upcoming, the future roadmap. The roadmap isn't the full comprehensive list of items that we can cover in a single slide, but it highlights the most important ones that align to our overall product strategies. So the current section essentially are features that is in the product, right, that we completed as of the last release, and then upcoming ones is a mix of features that was released in last release and upcoming in the next couple of releases. And the future are the ones that are located towards the long-term roadmap of 12 to 18 months, from the date this roadmap is updated. So focusing on the features on the current section, there's quite a lot of features that we delivered in the last few releases, particularly in 2024. September and November were like huge updates on the database and experience areas. Some items to highlight are, we added a folder organization support. And we also, there was a long-standing pain point when referencing calculations within calculations, which copied the entire expression versus referencing by name. So that is also resolved. So the newer experience is that, we will always reference by name, but you will be able to still copy the expression using the context menu of the calc. We also added two new reusable assets or objects, if you like, themes and layouts. Themes is sort of a styling element, a styling object that allows a user with the fine-grained permission to create these styling artifacts and make it a default for the instance, make it available for other authors to reuse in their workbooks, including color series, font size, font properties, background colors. And then layouts is a similar object, a reusable object that allows you to define templatized layouts that is best optimized for your various use cases for dashboarding purposes. New tooltip editor that allows authors to now provide custom tooltips, more web style tooltips, include parameter references, format them as you would in a normal text editor. So pretty powerful feature if you're, you want to use tooltips as one of your primary UI surfaces to highlight some of the key trends and descriptions of your metrics, as part of your data viz. The whole catalog in OAC is going through a big overhaul in terms of the user experience. The big change we did was in November, where the catalog now provides more of a tree folder-like structure, as a lot of our customers have provided feedback, and it makes it easier to manage your files and your folders. Makes it easier to move, copy files and folders. And in future, in the next release or so, you will also see that the catalog has more experience features in addition to including some of your other assets like machine learning models, data sets. All of that can now be organized as part of your catalog experience. On the homepage, we've also added custom groups. Custom groups is sort of a new custom swim lane that allows a user of OAC to organize content in a more logical way. So for example, if you want to organize content for a specific functional domain, you can. And the cool thing about custom groups is that we also added ACLs, which means that you can share custom groups to users or user groups. And we've done the same for watchlists as well. Show hide visualizations is now possible based on parameters. You can conditionally show or hide content in autofit and freeform mode of your canvas using parameters. Philippe talked about geometric data types and maps. Pretty cool feature, pretty powerful feature. And then there's also this concept of adding reference layers in maps. So check out our videos for product demos on that. On the augmented side, the big feature that we launched was Oracle AI Assistant. So it's a staggered release. We started with custom instances with 10 OCPUs, and then it's going to go on until the mid of the year, where we'll catch up on the rest of the customer base. But that's our new AI feature, conversational UI, right, powered by LLMs behind the scene. And you basically talk to the assistant and get a response and use the insights that the assistant delivers as part of your dashboard authoring. The deep integration into OCI custom models, AI models is happening. So document AI language models came out in the last couple of releases, new connectors to Databricks. And we also have now object data support for OCI. And lastly, on datasets, you saw Gabriel talking about the dataset diagram enhancements, which is currently in LA and soon to be GA. On the upcoming side, so starting with the March release, starting with January 2025, this year, hidden columns and visualization is possible. Again, the most common use case here is sorting your data by hidden columns, being able to send a hidden column to your data action experience. and one of the most asked features in the community. So pretty glad that we're able to deliver that in January. Selection steps is a new advanced feature for those of the classic users. If you're familiar with selection steps in classic, it's exactly the same feature. It's ideally supporting hierarchy columns for filter operations. I'll do a quick demo of this feature. It's pretty powerful from the perspective that it's not essentially filtering the data on your canvas, but it's essentially filtering the members in a hierarchy node that you want to filter the visualizations that have the support hierarchy column, which is tables and pivot tables today, right? And then watch lists also have ACLs enabled on them. Watch lists are a great way to expose key metrics, KPIs as interactive cards. Dynamic data that refreshes as the data changes behind the scenes, and these cards can also be shared with other users and user groups. And the interesting thing about sharing watch lists is that they become available as part of the authoring experience. So if you have no context of the data and just want to create a workbook, you can go to the Auto Insights panel, which will now show you the list of watch lists in addition to Auto Insights and the assistant, which you can now use to sort of quick author a workbook or dashboard, as long as you're familiar with the functional domain that you're working on. Conditional formatting rules are now expanded to support attribute-based rules. So you can start to create conditional formatting rules using attribute columns. Previously, it was just meshes, and then apply the rules to your visualizations. Gauge is a new visualization that's coming up in March. We'll have circular and semicircular gauge in March, and then linear gauge in May. On the augmented and data model side, Oracle AI Assistant will continue to have the focus both in terms of rollout and also in terms of adding new capabilities. Bringing your own LLMs. OpenAI will be the first of the, bring your own LLM models that we will support out of the box. And contextual insights, Philippe demoed multi-sheet Excel as per we demoed, semantic modeler for S-based EPM that we've been demoed, and then OAS, there's a bit of a typo there. So OAS 2025 is a bigger release coming for our on-prem customers. And that will start to roll out in March 2025. So all the OAC features up until Jan 2025, from Jan 2024 to Jan 2025, it will be made available for OAS customers with the 2025 annual update. So I'm going to jump onto my demo server and just highlight a few features. So let me talk about custom groups. So on the top is a new section that you see called as a custom groups. In this case, I'm basically organizing all of my workbooks as all of my demo workbooks into a single custom group. You can also add URL items, right, as references to your external systems. Excuse me. You can also add icons and image support to your URL items as well. And if you go to the inspect dialog of a custom group, you should be able to then share the custom group to one of your users. So in this case, let's just say that I'm going to give Maddie access to my custom group. Now she has full access to my custom group, meaning that she can add content to the custom group. And this sort of also enables a collaboration mode within the product. And the same thing for watch lists as well. Watch lists can be shared with other users using the inspect dialog, same experience as you would do on workbooks, right? So just search by users or user groups and then provide the right access to the users on the watch list. So when you have a watch list that's shared with you, the cool thing about watch lists is that when you go to the create workbook experience, let's just say that I don't connect to any dialog and open the Auto Insights panel. There is no Auto Insights basically because I don't have a dataset connected. But the watch list will basically show you all the watch lists that's been shared with me or created by me. Like this one is shared by one of my peers with me. As I start to add the watch list cards into my canvas, the data also gets added to the canvas, right, thereby enabling sort of a quick authoring experience for me to now modify the visualization as my need, as it fit my needs, right? So let me focus on the January features. I'm going to open up a different workbook that has some few examples of the January features. So real quick, I'll go into the edit mode. We'll just look at conditional formatting rules based on attributes. So if you open up the CF dialog, The rules can now be based on either measure or an attribute column, right? So we renamed this to a column, and we expose the the data element tree for the data source. And in my example, I have basically started the rule for customer segment. The operator support is limited. It only supports is and is not, but it's something we're working on. We'll add more operator support. And the third control allows you to basically select the members that you want to select, and the last control doing the formatting option. So once you've done the rule, created the rule, applying the rule is pretty standard process. The context menu allows you to basically see the rules and then turn on or turn off. In this case, the values of those customer segment is formatted based on the definition of the rule. One of the immediate feedbacks that we've had from a lot of customers is to be able to paint the complete row. That's something that we're looking into, and we might expose that as a property in one of the upcoming releases. I'll go to hide columns. The experience is pretty simple. On this pivot table, let's just say that I want to hide a column or a date, but still be able to sort by it. Right-click on the grammar token, and the context menu will show a hide option. So when you hide it, it's hidden from the UI, but the risk query is still using the grain of the hidden columns as well. And now, this allows you to do all of the sort operations that you can. So if you go to your custom sort dialog, right, so you can do sorting based on hidden columns. You can also send hidden columns to data actions. In this example, order ID from, I believe this visualization is sent to a Google search, but order ID itself is not exposed. But when I do invoke the data action, right, it is sending the order ID to a Google search, right? So it opens up a few use cases for sending hidden ID-based columns to your external systems like CRM or HCM that opens up that information of the customer and employee respectively, right? Selection steps. So on a subject area, I've got different kinds of hierarchy columns, level hierarchies, value hierarchies, skip bracket hierarchies. So any type of hierarchy columns, any data source, relational or OLAP data sources, that have hierarchy columns, you can drop the hierarchy column into the top workbook filter bar. By the way, this feature is in public preview, which means that you will need to turn it on from your console. And we plan to GA this probably in May of this year. The reason it's in preview is because of the limited functionality. So right now, the filter scope that we support is only the top level filter bar. Let me just remove this. So when I drop the hierarchy column onto the workgroup scope, this is going to open up a new UI. And this is called as a selection step UI. It's got 3 controls. The first control is defining the action that you want to do. Do you want to add members or keep certain members or remove certain members? The second control allows you to select the kind of operator, right? Or do you want to just do the members or members with the children's parents? And there's quite a few options. All of these options that Classic has it supported now. And then the third option allows you to basically navigate through the hierarchy and be able to specifically say which members that you want to apply or see the data, the member data for, right? So let me take an example, right? So we only support hierarchy columns in tables and pivot tables today. So in this pivot table, I've got data for 2019 and 2020. So if I want to create a selection step that allows me to keep members and its children just for year 2019, so I'm just going to do 2019, and this is going to basically refresh my pivot table to only show 2019 and its children, right? And let's just say that I want to remove certain children or certain members. I'm just going to say 2019. I just want to get rid of Q4. Then that's what you get on the UI, right? So, and you can add as many steps as you can. So this allows the author to define complex selection steps that that basically filter the hierarchy columns to the specific member nodes that you want to expose for your consumer interactions on, based on your requirements and analysis that you want to build your dashboard for, right? So this is, like I said, it's a preview feature, and you need to turn on the feature from console. Let me switch back to my demo last slide. There's a bunch of interesting features that's coming up in the future bucket. Sorry. So we covered some of these in the demo.
And Avinash, we are at times, so if you can just show those really quickly so we can address some of the questions live in the Q&A, just since it is
so,
at
yeah,
the
I'll
top of
just
the hour.
flash the slide and then I'll maybe respond to the questions on the Q&A.
Absolutely.
All right.
There's a good few that have come in. Fabulous question from one of the viewers who's anonymous, has asked if consumers can subscribe to a watch list and whether admins can share a watch list created by a consumer with other groups or users. Avinash, is that the case?
The subscribing feature to watch list is not available yet. It's not part of our roadmap. But then the second part where an admin can create a custom sort of a quote unquote homepage and have custom groups and watch list created. That's coming. So there's a new feature called Pages, which is the first one on the list, right? We'll probably hit, we'll probably do a preview in May, and we'll socialize that in the community. So that's a pretty big experience for homepage on OAC.
Fabulous. Thank you, Avinash. And for the former part of that question, I'd advise the user do post on the Oracle Analytics Cloud Idea Lab so that the community can vote on that enhancement suggestion. Avinash, are there any other questions in the chat that you'd like to jump on and open invite as well to the other PMs on the call while we have a couple minutes?
Yeah, just looking at, there's one about programmatically creating data visualizations through code-based development. There is a bunch of work that's happening around exposing additional APIs for programmatically creating data viz. I don't have exact timelines or what the roadmap are, but that's one of the active projects that's currently being worked on. And then there's one around being able to schedule an Excel file with multiple pages. I know that that's part of the roadmap. Again, I'll have to check with the PM of that area to find out, if it's a planned item or if it's something that we still need to prioritize on our side.
Fabulous. Whoever submitted that question, if you could get in touch via email, then we'll be able to follow up specifically.
Yeah, and then the one last question, the email delivery in Excel report, that is out in the January 2025 update.
Perfect. Any other questions that the PMs on call want to take in Q&A box before we close up a few minutes over? Fabulous. Well, in that case, I will say a huge thank you to our audience, especially those who stayed on a few minutes over time, and an even bigger thank you to our fabulous PM presenters. I think we can all agree the roadmap for Oracle Analytics is only expanding. So thank you for spending time with us today, and I encourage you to check out more of the resources on the community site for other interesting and engaging events to attend. Have a great day all, and I'll close up.